Does anybody know what this is? Say again? Square root. Excellent. What else is it called? What if I said radical? Radical? The radical sign. Radical from the Latin word radix, relating to a root. And it could be the root of many things. It's diverse. It could be the root to a plant. It could be the root to a medical procedure, or it could be the root to a mathematic equation. Radical can also be described as foundational. Another definition of radical is extreme, deviating from the norm. Radical is also a slang term for something that's cool or excellent, especially in the skateboarding and surfing arena, like catching a radical wave. Where's Deacon Luc going with this? In our first reading from Genesis, Abraham has the audacity to not only approach God, but to speak to him and to barter with him. And he doesn't give up. He's negotiating for the sake of the innocent in the city of Sodom, which the Lord is going to destroy. But Abraham, again, doesn't give up. What if there's 50 innocent? I will save it for the 50. 45, 40, 30, 20, 10. I see that as nothing less than radical. In our second reading from Colossians, St. Paul reminds us that God does a most radical thing by allowing his only begotten Son to be crucified only to raise him from the dead. Radical. In our gospel reading from Luke, when asked to teach us how to pray, Jesus proceeds to tell them in so many words to call God Father. Now, many scholars would agree that the word he uses in Aramaic is Abba. So not only is he telling them to pray to God as your Father, he's saying, call him by an intimate, informal name such as Papa or Daddy. Now, to a first century Jew, that would sound preposterous, for they didn't even like to utter his real word, his real name, Yahweh, because it was too sacred to even say out loud. And now Jesus is saying, go ahead and call him Papa. Call him Abba. Radical. As you know, we had 32 teens and 16 chaperones just returned from their mission trip in Albany, New York. Now, I went up for one day and spent a day with them because I wanted to be with them and also to witness and see with my eyes what they were seeing with their eyes. And what I saw was a lot of poverty and a lot of despair. And it struck me that when we're so desperate that we can't even meet our basic needs of food and water and shelter, are we really seeking God in those moments? I'm thinking probably not. But then I was reminded that God is seeking them through a radical love by sending 48 missionaries to them to remind them that he cares and that he will never forget them. And I find that radical. Three Sundays ago, the 14th Sunday in Ordinary Time, we heard from Luke chapter 10, where Jesus sends out 72 to the places where he intends to go. They're sent out like lambs among wolves. And yet they returned rejoicing. Radical. Lastly, I would close with a poem from St. Teresa of Calcutta, and I'll just give you an excerpt. It's called Do It Anyway. People often are unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. The good you do today will often be forgotten. Do good anyway. Give the best you have, and it will never be enough, but give your best anyway. Because in the final analysis, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. Radical, radical, radical. Amen.